Hello and welcome to Wheel of Time Spoiler Talk number 2, where we move on to The Great Hunt, a book that, in my opinion, is basically better than The Eye of the World in almost every way, and is an absolutely straight fire book that I love. Let's get into it. So this book starts off with the prologue following a man who calls himself Bors, which is basically Robert Jordan telling you this person's going to be in the series, but not called Bors, and he's a dark friend. And he's also, before I say anything, this is spoilers. My Wheel of Time videos are spoilers. It's probably called The Great Hunt Spoiler Talk. If you have only read the first 2 Wheel of Time books, you're fine. I'm not going to spoil anything past The Great Hunt, but I will be spoiling The Great Hunt. Anyways, and he's a white cloak, so watch out for white cloak dark friends. What? Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is. And this is when Robert Jordan prologues actually were prologues and not the first 100 pages of the book, because this is actually a prologue, like the Eye of the World prologue. We'll see how long that lasts, because prologues are eventually going to just be 100 pages of, like, random point of views. Anyway, well, we're off to a good start. I said I wouldn't spoil anything further, and then I immediately did and had to edit it out. Good stuff. Okay, so we start off with Lan and Rand training, and there's a really, weird thing that I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I can't say, because that's a future book spoiler. Curses, and that's what I accidentally said. And Rand is pretty freaked out by this, and also, pretty freaked out by the fact that he's at any point could go crazy and murder everyone around him, which is somewhat understandable in my opinion. Anyways, Rand decides that, he's been stalling for a long time, but the Aes Sedai are on their way. He's got to get the hell out of here. And he goes to leave. And they're like, sorry, you can't go. So he goes to the next gate, and they're like, nope, no one's allowed to leave right now. And at this point, he's internally going, fuck. And he, in a moment of irrationality, which is going to bite him in the ass for the rest of this book, basically decides that he's too dangerous for people to be around. So he just basically insults Mat, Perrin, and Loyal. Uncool Rand. It's fucking Loyal. And this is one of those moments of irrationality. Oh, hi, Vin. Which Vin, the cat, has often... Oh, never mind. She doesn't want me to pick her up. That's sad. But like Vin the cat and people, we sometimes have moments where we do irrational things that we thought we had to do. And it turns out we didn't. But he thought he had to do it. He was trying to be helpful, but he didn't accomplish much. But eventually he finds Egwene and goes, I'm going to hide in the women's room. Actually, Egwene suggests that. There's no way this could go poorly unless I say the Dark One's name. And he says Shai-Tan, and a bunch of Trollocs break in. Gee, I wonder who let them in. It was Ingtar, right? Ingtar let him in. Anyways, and Podon Fane kills a bunch of people, takes the horn and the shiny pointy dagger, beginning the best romance in the Wheel of Time between Podon Fane and a pointy dagger. No one can mess with this romance. It's, just truly brilliant. Brilliant writing. The level of attachment between these two characters is very, very high. So, and also, just to top it off, then Swan Shant, the Amerlin seat, it turns out, is buddies with Moiraine, and in on the fact that Rand is the Dragon Reborn and can channel and not planning to gentle him. And so their brilliant plan is, hey, let's get this person who's slowly going insane. Let's get him here. And let's just tell him he's the Dragon Reborn. And that we know. And that we're not going to gentle him. And Varen's going to figure it out as well. Anyways, so they tell Rand, and Rand, like anyone would, if you learned that you were the prophesized person who was going to die, save the world, and rule the world, and break the world, does not handle it particularly well. And this causes him a great deal of stress. Which, I mean, I think basically the point of Wheel of Time is Robert Jordan is like, yeah, being the chosen one would absolutely suck. That's the point of Wheel of Time. And it starts to absolutely suck. So, Rand, they basically tell Rand, though, like, we're not going to try and control you. You need to go do stuff, so go do whatever the hell you want. And he's like, I'm going to go with Matt, get him a pointy dagger back, and then I'm going to go live in the wilderness so I don't accidentally kill everyone. And they're just like, yep, sure, that's totally what you're going to do. You're not going to channel? Sure. And Rand's like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And me rereading goes, yeah, sure, whatever you say, Rand. Anyway, so off they go. We have a quest. And we also get some random White Cloak chapters where it's like, you know, build me an army and go to Toman Head and Padan Fane's. Like, I will see you at Toman Head. I don't know how Padan Fane knew that. How did he know they were going to Toman Head? Huh. Any Wheel of Time veterans? Do you have an answer on that? How did Fane know beforehand that they were going to end up in Toman Head? I'm not sure about that one. I was rereading. These are the things I'm supposed to figure out. Whatever. I don't know how he knew that. But he says, we're going to go to Toman Head. And so they go off with Hurin, who can smell evil, which is kind of creative. Also, I do want to say, so they start off in, I'm really bad at names, Faldara? Anyway, the borderland castle city. One thing, I think Robert Jordan, all the locations feel so well realized. It's one of the aspects of his world building I love, where they do a lot of traveling in these books, but each location feels like one that I can picture and like describe the feel of, as well as locations that a lot of books like spend the entire time in. He's so good at that stuff. Anyways, they move on. They smell evil. They're trying to go really fast. Ingtar is pushing them really hard, but Padan Fane's going just as fast, and Trollocs are eating all the Dark Friends. Oh, you were promised immortality. Instead, you got eaten by a Trolloc. It's rough, buddy. Father of lies. You shouldn't have trusted him. Anyway, and eventually they find, I forget the order of this happens, but some of the highlights of this part is they go into a town and we get Flicker 1.0, where Rand seems like the same scene, like over and over again, when he goes to a door, and this freaks him out, as it would any other person. Also, unsurprisingly, Perrin and Matt are kind of mad and wary of Rand. A lot of people give them shit for this, which, fair enough, like, they're not being the best friend ever, but, like, imagine if the person who you'd known for a long time, you learned actually had a nuclear bomb inside of him that would just, like, go off unpredictably at a random time. Like, you would be freaked out. And keep in mind, the world they're in is, again, one where men who could channel brought the population from the billions to the millions. Like, the breaking of the world was a catastrophe unlike anything we have ever had in our history. And also, it's not just a thing of the distant past. There's literally currently a false dragon male channeler rebelling and killing a bunch of people. Like, male channelers would be the next best thing to, like, would be scary shit. Also, Rand was a total dick. So, it's not like he's extending an olive branch. Like, this literally was his goal. He was trying to push them away, and he succeeded. Anyways, so yeah, Matt's being kind of a dick, but I mean, kind of makes sense that he's being kind of a dick. Oh yeah, also, in the meantime, Nynaeve and Egwene are going to the White Tower to learn how to be an Aes Sedai. Nynaeve is primarily going just to spite people. Anyways, also, I love Nynaeve on this reread. I love Nynaeve in the second half of the Wheel of Time, the first time I read it, but on reread, man, I love Nynaeve so much. She's just, like instantly, everything she does, I'm just like, yeah, Nynaeve, you go. Like, I feel like now that, like, I understand her better and, like, what her motivations are, because I've already read the entire series. Anyways, they're off to the White Tower. Swan Sanche bullies Nynaeve a little bit. And Nynaeve takes the accepted test, which is probably one of the best scenes in this book, off the top of my head. I mean, it's pretty great. And And Nynaeve gets really angry at people, obviously, because the accepted test really sucks. And, I mean, like, the accepted test is very, very suspicious in that, like, how is this a good idea? Like, how is this a good test? It's supposed to test that, like, the people who are becoming accepted are more dedicated to the White Tower than they are to anything else. Which, I mean, probably... I wonder if a reason Aes Sedai are so Aes Sedai, like, throughout the series is that they all went through the accepted and Aes Sedai test. Which kind of forges a the idea that the White Tower is above everything else into every Aes Sedai who becomes an Aes Sedai. I wonder if that'll have consequences throughout the series. Anyways, but Nynaeve's an accepted now, so that's good. And meanwhile, Rand, tells Perrin is kind of like slightly forgives Rand, but is still like a little bit not okay with things. And Rand's like, yeah, I have a dragon banner. I'm the dragon reborn, folks. And Mat is like, you know how I said I was out of here before? Now I am even more out of here because I would like to avoid dying. And Perrin is a little bit more understanding. But anyways, then Rand, Huron, and Loyal sleep on the wrong rock. Rand channels a little bit, and boof, off they go into an alternate dimension. Very unfortunate. And in that alternate dimension, they eventually run into Selene. And I have seen people reading The Wheel of Time, and this is one of the criticisms that I will never understand of any book. Like, a lot of the time people say, like, oh, this character isn't acting rationally. And usually I'm kind of like, yeah, they're not Logic Bot. Logic Bot would be a really boring character. But this especially is like, put yourself in the head of a super stressed out 20-year-old guy who then runs into the hottest girl on the planet who proceeds to, like, compliment and praise him a bunch. And people are like, why isn't he suspicious? It's like, come on, guys. Like, yeah, his brain melted out his ears. That's what would happen in that situation. Like, no magic was required to make Selene appear more trustworthy, okay? No magic at all was required. Anyways, Selene, of course, I was not in the presence as the reader. We are not being complimented and praised a bunch by the hottest girl on the planet. So, we're immediately suspicious of Selene because Selene is incredibly suspicious. I remember the first time I read it, I wasn't like, hey, this gets confirmed at the end of the book. I wasn't like, hey, that's Lanfear. But I was like, this person is, like, off the charts suspicious. Like, the chances of them being a good guy is approaching 0%. But Rand uses the Flame of the Void. He shoots some weird frog things in the eye. And he channels to get them out. And boom, they are ahead of Podon Fane. The track they've been following, that's the track. That's like an echo into the future, which is cool as shit. Anyways, so they go back. Rand does some sneak. And I begin to actually enjoy the way Robert Jordan describes sword fights. What is going on? How they're dumb, but I enjoyed it this time. Why am I able to picture these in my head? I've been brainwashed by 14 books to enjoy just describing sword forms. And because Rand fights a few Trollocs and thinking that it's really good for sword fighting. But I enjoyed it, damn it. Whatever. Anyways, sword fight, fighting Trollocs, snuck in, stole some stuff. Very, very good stuff. And then they are off. They are running, and they are getting to Karhine, another fantastic location. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Egwene have gotten to Tar Valon, and they've kind of gotten, like, to people paying attention to them, to just like, yeah, you're another novice and accepted. We don't care. Go away. Egwene becomes friends with Elaine. Great relationship building, Robert Jordan. They were talking, and they're like, I think we should become friends. And then they did. Let's go. That is kind of... I mean, Robert Jordan, I love his characters. Relationships are not his biggest strength. I think we can all acknowledge that. And also, this time through, I really... Oh. That's my cat in the background, just making noise. Anyway, I really enjoyed the White Cloak chapters a lot more this time. And I'm hoping that continues throughout the series on this reread, that I enjoy the, non-main 6 point of views. But I thought they were great. The pacing of this book is so good. Like, every chapter almost has interesting stuff happen and progresses the plot. It might be the tightest Wheel of Time book in the entire series. But anyways, Rand gets into Karhan, and it's Tom! He's alive, everyone! He didn't die. The Myrddraal didn't care. It just ran away from him. But he lost his good knives. But he's got a girlfriend now, who's going to be a good gleeman. So he's got that going for him, but he gets dragged into the Great Game, and Rand, we begin to really see the effects of him being ta'veren, because the pattern is pretty clearly bending things to try and force him to be important. And throughout this book, he is, like, his arc in the Great Hunt is, at the start, he very much is trying to resist what the pattern is pushing him to do. And his arc is basically coming to the conclusion that he just has to accept that he's the Dragon Reborn, he's gonna have to play his part in the pattern, and basically if he willingly goes in and plays his part as the Dragon Reborn... What are you doing, cat? Anyway, if he willingly plays his part as the Dragon Reborn, he gets more freedom because there are multiple ways he can go about it, compared to if he tries to hold back, the pattern will force, like, if he only leaves one outcome that still results in him being the Dragon Reborn, then he has very little choice, because it will force him down that one outcome. And he drags Tom back into the Great Game. And runs into Selene again. Also someone who makes firecrackers, who definitely isn't going to be an important character in the future. Selene is still incredibly suspicious. He gets attacked by Trollocs, who everyone thinks are fake Trollocs. And then, in pretty funny fashion, he's constantly waiting for Ingtar to show up. And then they show up and find him literally as the Horn of Valir is stolen. So they're like, alright, we are going to plan a heist. Let's go. We are going to sneak in. We're going to take this invitation. We're going to sneak in. We're going to steal the horn. And we're going to win. And we're going to steal the dagger. And that's going to go to Tarvalon. And everyone's going to live happily. Oh, shit. There's a path into the ways where we thought they were hiding. The horn and dagger are long gone. That's okay. We will follow him. Psych! Mashin Din is waiting for you. How does that even happen? Who knows? But then they're like, shit, whatever. There is another waygate in a steading that's very close to here. And so they're off with Loyal, who's fantastic. I love Loyal. He's so good. And Loyal's like, oh, another steading. Hopefully they don't know me. And he's kind of like, this is Loyal going into the steading. He's like, nope, it's not me. I'm not who. Anyway. And Loyal meets a girl who apparently has very beautiful ears. Truly the best romance in the Wheel of Time. I think it's Edith. Loyal and Edith. Truly the best romance in the Wheel of Time. But they do convince the Council of very not hasty Ogier that Loyal can go with us because he's following the ta'veren, or ta'veren, whatever. But they go to open the next gateway and Mashin Din is still there. Oh no. Alright, so it's clearly following them. So that blows. And Rand is like, they're going to Toman Head. And Ingtar is like, that's dumb. Why would they go to Toman Head? And Rand is like, Pat Unfeigned said. And Ingtar's kind of like, yeah, whatever, fine. I'll go that way. I don't have any other options. So I'll go with you, but I have my doubts. And Rand is like, yo, we could take a portal stone. And Verin is like, great idea. I totally know how to run the portal stone. And when Verin says she knows how the portal stone works, Rand is like, phew. Oh, That's a relief. And then they get to the portal stone, and Varen's like, "Psst, I have no idea how these things work. I need you to do it." And Rand is just like, "What? No. You... Ah!" Anyway, his relief was a lie. Also, I forgot to mention, Rand got branded on the hands and has Hearens. So, Rand, you got a book and a half of not being in constant pain of some kind. Sorry, bud. That's done. You got a burn wound now. And then you get stabbed by a magic stick later in the book. So, a stick of evil. Anyway, so they take the portal, and it begins one of the best chapters in the Wheel of Time. What might have been, also known as Flicker Flicker. I have won again, Lews Therin. Flicker Flicker. This chapter is so good. This is my favorite chapter in the book. It's so well written, and, like, it's written to be so, like, eerie and foreboding, and then, like, you get out of the portal, and everyone has been experiencing these multiple lifetimes, and you can tell, like, it has changed the way some of the people are, especially Ingtar, and we get past this chapter, and Ingtar is like, you know what? I'm a dark friend. But, well, this actually doesn't happen for a bit. Also, like, Rand, like, seeing, like, the ways his life could have gone, where, like, he often dies of channeling sickness, or he learns to control his channeling and becomes, like, a guard for the Andorran royals. But also, this is one of the things that really contributes into him accepting his destiny, because he sees what happens when he runs from the pattern. And in all these realities, he's never the Dragon Reborn. And Bahal Zaman wins every time, and it never feels right. But they get out, and they're in Toman Head, and it's been a few months. Damn. Meanwhile, Egwene and Elaine are told, hey, Rand's in trouble, you need to go to Toman Head, by the most suspicious Red Ajah of all time. And one thing I noticed that was really funny is, Liandrin, I think that's her name, she's Black Ajah, obviously. So she can lie, but she still doesn't. Like, when she's trying to convince them that they have to go, she still technically tells the truth. It's just like, old habits die hard, I guess. Because she doesn't directly lie to them, which I found really funny. Anyways, they show up, but with Nynaeve as well. But the Seanchan were not expecting Nynaeve, so Nynaeve is able to escape with Elaine, but Egwene gets collared. And man, the Egwene chapters, when she is a Damane, are brutal. Like, they're brutal. Anyways, and Nynaeve and Elaine make a deal with Bael Domon, who's been having chapters these entire times, which are incredibly entertaining, because thar do be Seanchan, and thar do be, and, like, Damane, and Bael's like, I want to run, but, I'll get burned, and Elaine and Nynaeve are like, we're Aes Sedai, full Aes Sedai, totally, and pretending to be Aes Sedai will not be a thing that happens in the future, and it will never bite us in the ass. And we can protect you from the Damane. And Bael Domon's like, I want to get the hell out of here, so sure, show up at this date. And so Egwene is a Damane for a long time, a few months, while Rand is getting flickered. But Rand shows up at the same time as Nynaeve is planning to basically rescue Egwene and head the hell out of there. And so, Rand shows up, they go in with 5 people, including Ingtar. Rand fights a badass duel, they get the Horn of Valir, they get the dagger back. Matt blows the fucking Horn of Valir, which that came out of nowhere. I was like, Matt's just chilling, and they're like, oh, we're getting attacked. And Matt is just like, shiny horn that summons armies? We need an army. Toot toot. There we go. Here we go. Let's go. They recognize Rand as Lews Therin. Rand fights Bahal Zaman. It shows up in the sky. It's all badass as hell. Rand sheaths the sword. kills Bahal Zaman again. But gets very, very stabbed. And apparently the Aes Sedai can't heal it, which sucks. Ingtar is a dark friend, but redeems himself his last moment. I loved reading Ingtar in this book, knowing what he was. He's such a great character. And it's his art, like, it's so good in this book. It was even better knowing he was a dark friend than the reveal that he was the dark friend. Obviously let, like, the Trollocs in, and then kind of really started to regret being a dark friend. And you can see him begin to change. And I think what really put him over the edge was the flicker. You have to imagine he saw realities where either he was a dark friend and Bahal Zaman betrayed him and he got eaten by a Trolloc, as often happens, or, like, you know, he saw himself never becoming a dark friend and things being better, or maybe doing what he did of being a dark friend and turning back to the light, because one cannot walk in the shadows so long that they cannot return to the light, and Rand is not quite dead, and he's like, fuck it, I'm the Dragon Reborn, fine, I'll not go abandon everything, and I'll try and conquer the world and save it, and I'll try not to break it, but it says I will. And we get to the end. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about Perrin a single time. Perrin's got wolves. He pretended to be a sniffer. I actually like Rand more than Perrin in this book. I like Rand in this book, as you can probably tell by me talking about Rand. Anyways, Matt's got to go to Tar Valon to get fully healed. The girls should probably going back to Tar Valon to continue their training. And Rand is off to declare himself the dragon and raise the dragon banner, and a bunch of White Cloaks died. And they're still mad at Perrin. Whatever. And very, very importantly, Bael Domon do be alive still. And that concludes The Great Hunt, which I give 9.3 out of 10. This book rules. I think it's better than The Eye of the World in almost every way. Almost every character is more interesting. The world building is better. It has a way better ending. It's paced better. It's tighter. It's just kicks ass. We get Moraine chapters. Forgot to mention Moraine told Lan, yeah, I'm going to pass the thing to Myrdal if I die. And Lan is just like, you what, mate? Anyways, that's also not going to come back. But this book rules. And it's amazing that it's not one of my favorite Wheel of Time books, but that's because I love the Wheel of Time, so this is like barely top half, but it is so good, and that is what I think about The Great Hunt.